Hey guys, good to be back with you. I want to talk a little bit today concerning the book of Esther. I don't know how many of you have read that Old Testament book, but it is a very interesting one. And I think it'd be good reading this week in light of what the Jewish people celebrate, and that is the Feast of Purim. And we're going to talk just a little bit about that today and Thursday. And I'm going to actually give a message I wanted to give last week, but I couldn't get all the pieces together. But we're going to talk about warfare. We're going to talk about our witness. We're going to talk about our wealth, and it all has to do with identity. And we're going to find all that in the book of Esther. So, just the long and short of it is the fact that in the book of Esther, we find this guy named Haman wanted to kill all the Jewish people. He wanted to exterminate them. And he actually got the king to go along with it. And one day, all the Jewish people were going to die. And so here's this young queen, and she's a Jewish girl that just became queen. She's a teenager, and she's in the palace now. She doesn't really have any authority. She's not even allowed to come to see the king until he allows her to come in, or she could die. And so she knows that she can die because if she finds out, or the king finds out she's Jewish, she can die. And she can die if she goes and talks to him about it. So she's put in this position, and her uncle Mordecai says, hey, listen, I've got to get a message to Esther and tell her the situation. And here's what Mordecai says. He says to her in essence, and we're going to read this, but he says in essence, God's people are not going to be destroyed because God won't. It's going to come from somewhere else. But Esther, you might be destroyed. And this is what I want to share with all of you today. That, just because you're in a palace doesn't mean you're protected. God's people are not going to be destroyed, but you might be destroyed if you don't stand up by faith and be what God's called you to be and have that authority, that kingdom authority, that right that God's called you to live in. It's all about identity. So who knows that God didn't bring you into this world for such a time as this? Let me read. This is verse 14. In chapter 4, for if you keep silent at this time, relief and deliverance will rise for the Jews from another place, but you and your father's house will perish. And who knows whether you have not come to the kingdom for such a time as this? I hope that penetrates your heart. We're living in crazy days. Know your identity and stand. Until next time, God bless.